Welcome back. What actually I did is I just stopped the previous one and I started the video again. Again, we have the image data directory array, which is an array of what data directories do we have. And you can see we have export, import. These are all of them, by the way. But again, it doesn't mean that we have a section for like a directory for each one of them. Okay, and you can see when you see it like it's 0, it's probably that it does not exist. But this is what you might find in an executable. So again, as you can see here, we don't have an export. The virtual address, it's 4 bytes, okay, because it's a double word, it's 4 bytes. And you can see that, let me just close my phone. You can see that it's the size is 0, so we don't have, this does not exist. We don't have an export directory in this executable. And like I said in the previous video, that's normal, or let's say it's common in applications where we don't have in an application, let's say, an export, because normally an application will be importing libraries and functions, but it doesn't mean you can't have an export in an executable. Just keep that in mind. It is allowed, the format allows it, etc. We can also, by the way, check this using our favorite portable executable tool, the PE Bear. Thanks to Hasharzadi doing these tools for us. So if we open this again, not sure, did I double click on it? Let's double click again. Okay, so if we go and I want to load the same executable actually, so file load notepad. Okay, so notepad, and if we go to let me just go over here. Let me actually maximize this. Why am I doing it this way? Yeah, if we go to, as you can see here, the section headers, so these are the sections available. We'll come back to this. The optional header, and if we go down here, we can see that the export directory is 0. There is no export directory. We can see also this directory is 0, and we can see that this is 0, the security one is also 0, etc. So it seems we don't have an export directory, but we do have what? We do have an import directory, and that's very common to happen. So what we found in the 010 editor, we can confirm it with the other tool, which is the portable executable file. As you can see here, this is the name of, by the way, the this section, which is this data structure, which is image directory entry export, and then the import is called image directory entry import, image directory entry resource, and so on and so forth. So each one of them, you can see the details about that. Now, if you look at this entry, you can see where is actually this file found at. So we can see that this data directory is located at this location, and I'm going to show you how this is calculated in the next video, not in this one. Okay, we are going to see how these values are calculated, but in the next video. So we can see that this structure is 8 bytes, right? We have 4 bytes for the virtual address, and then we have 4 bytes for the size of this image directory, whatever it is. Okay, and you can see we have, again, a lot of image directories. They don't have to exist in every single application, but this is part of the structure. You might find them, you might not find them in the application. Okay, so let's go now a little bit further and look at the sections. So we saw that we have actually, how many sections? We saw that we have 7 sections. Where did we find that? If I go a little bit up again, and if we go to the file and T header, so the file header, we can see the number of sections was 7. So we know we have 7 sections. Okay, we know we have what? We have 7 sections. Let me just minimize this again. And if we go to the image section header, it says we have these 7 sections starting from 0 to 6, because usual indexing in computer science is starting at 0. Now, if we expand them, we can see that the first is 8 bytes. As you can see here, it starts at address 200. So, or at offset 200, and then it's 8 bytes, and it includes this this .txt characters. Now, .txt is not 8 bytes; it's only 5. So the others will be, as you can see here. If let me just click here and then click back again. As you can see, these 3 bytes are zeros, which is just to pad the rest of the bytes. So we have 8 bytes for the name. And actually, by the way, the name could be really anything. It doesn't have to be anything in specific. And when the system runs your application, it's really not going to matter whether it's .text, etc., because all of the configuration that your system needs to know about is actually in these settings, which is part of the executable file. You can see that there are here what the physical address is and the virtual size is. So there is a union, which is 4 bytes. These 4 bytes represent two things, the physical address and the virtual size. Also, if we go here, you can see the virtual address. This is 4 bytes. And this is telling you where is this section going to be loaded into memory. Now, keep in mind, this is a relative virtual address. So this is a relative value. What does that mean? It means I need the image base and I will add this to the image base. Now, the image base, if you remember from the previous video, it was like 14,000 something, or maybe even 14 million. Okay, so we will be adding this 1,000 offset to that image base, and that's where the system will be able to locate the .text section in memory. Now, the size of raw data, it's telling you this is the size of the raw data. So this is the size of this section on disk. The pointer to the raw data. So on disk, this is where the offset will be located. So this is where this data will be located. Pointer to relocations, pointer to line numbers, etc. These are all other features available for this section. We will talk about the relocations in another video later on. Now, if we go to this structure, we can see that it has a couple of characteristics. So if I expand, it's 4 bytes, as you can see, 4 bytes, and they are highlighted. And these 4 bytes are also, again, like a bitmap array, which each bit will represent something. So as you can see here, this image SCN CNT code is set to 1, which this is telling you, or telling the system, I mean, that this is actually a code section. Now, as you can see here, there are really a lot of other things, like here, initialized data, uninitialized data. I really don't know all of them, and I'm not sure if, at least I don't know all of them. If I need to check something up, I will just look it up. So you just need to check those out, what they are. But the other important things here you can see, which is the permissions. You can see that this is execute and read, and write is 0. So we know that this section, by the way, which is the .text section, is executable and readable, but it's not writable. And that's normal to have. And actually, as you can see, they are all explained over here. Now, that's normal to have for a .text section. Why? Because the .text section is usually where the code that will be executed is found. So that code, the system needs to be able to read it. That's one permission. And then it needs to be able to execute it. And that's the other permission. So that's why we have the read and execute. That's it for this video. We'll continue in the next one, just because so I don't exceed the time that I have for each video. Thank you, and see you in the next video.